Welcome to another edition of Reflections. I'm your host, Fred Hammond. The program is sponsored by the Beverly Historical Society, and we interview people who have a story to tell about growing up in the city of Beverly and things that are going on here. Our guest today is Donald Nino Lombardi, known throughout Beverly as Beverly's artist. His pictures hang in City Hall and the State House and a few other places, I guess, Nino.
Washington, too, you know.
Yeah. And he does a regular program here on art.
Right.
But the purpose of this program is specifically to talk about growing up in Beverly. Nino was born in 1929. At home, Nino?
No, believe it or not, I was born in Italy. I was born in Italy.
Born in Italy, yeah. Okay. Whereabouts in Italy?
Salerno,
Sure.
right next to Naples.
Sure.
And I arrived, it's hard to believe.
Were you a baby when they brought you over?
Yeah, I was probably about 6 months old.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, transportation wasn't like today. We'll go to Rome in 12 hours. It probably took about a month to get here by boat.
Oh, sure.
And
sure.
I remember my mother telling me about coming by boat. Not first class, third class. Now, third class meant down to the boiler room, and no toilets, no cafeteria, no food. And the reason why I guess mostly a lot of people settled in Beverly is because European people were going through a sort of a depression. And she had sisters and brothers living in Beverly. And
her maiden name was?
Della Monica.
Oh, okay.
Her maiden name was Della Monica. So she decided to go see her sister that married a Fortunato in Beverly. And he was a barber. And it's a typical old way that people kept the family together. He bought a 3-family house.
Now, what was your father's name?
Joseph Lombardi.
And he
was a cobbler.
He came from Salerno.
She came from Salerno.
Yeah.
So they decided to come to Beverly.
You know, 1929 is when you were born.
Yeah.
And we slapped a very strong immigration bill in 29.
Yeah.
And in 24, there was another one that had racial overtones, okay? So it was harder to get into this country. Some of the anti-immigrant stuff you're hearing today was going on then, right?
Well, my mother didn't. My great-great-grandfather was very wealthy in Italy, way before, probably in the 20s, 1920. And he'd come to Beverly anytime he wanted. So some of the family was born here in Beverly, which was my mother. So when she decided to come to Beverly, she was an American citizen.
Did she go back to Italy?
Yeah, she went back. They go back and forth to live. But all the time, she was a citizen of Beverly.
Yeah.
So my father must have knew that. He says, and he was Italian. He said, we can go back to Beverly because you're a citizen.
Yeah.
So as a young age, probably at that time, she must have been 18, 19 years old. That was the greatest thing in the world.
What was some of your earliest memories of growing up in Beverly?
The earliest memory?
When you were just a little fellow?
When I was just a little fellow, I'll never forget when my mother came here, automatically she was put on welfare. And she never was refused anything when she went to the city hall. And my 2 other brothers and my sister all had to be clothed too. You know,
the name of your 2 other brothers?
It was Harry and Lenny and Carol. And we're like 2 years apart, all of us. And they would say, okay, Mrs. Lombardi, your son needs a pair of pants. There were certain stores that you would go to. And Main Street was Main Street in Beverly. It was beautiful. You had the cobbler shop there, the barber shop there, the grocery shop there. You didn't have to go nowhere. And it didn't help a lot, but no one had a car. Who had a car? So you were so bonded with the business part and the community part, and the city hall was what it was open to us, because you got to remember, the mayors at that time came from not very wealthy families.
Chick McLean.
Chip McLean lived right across the street from us, and he was the mayor of the city.
Yeah, worked at the shoe before.
And worked at the shoe, and his lifestyle was a little freer than us. But I'll tell you, when you went and saw him, he knew what it was to look for food, to walk in to get the milk, to take your daughter or son to get the clothes.
Yeah.
He was a gentleman, and through that time,
Irish and Italian, huh? McLean across the street.
And he treated us so good that I said, someday I'm going to help the city of Beverly.
Yeah.
And I want to give what I can give. I couldn't give you any money, but I just got that so many happy memories of McLean, what he did for us. He's not just the Lombardi family. There were the Fortunatos.
Sure.
There were the Montonis. There were even Conan and Irish in there. And so we lived.
You were near Goat Hill or on Goat Hill?
Well, I lived on Rantoul Street. When she came here, she put us in one room, our family in one room, in her house. And she says, "Oh, once you get settled, I could find a place for you."
Where are we talking? Who put you in the?
Her sister.
Okay.
Said, "Well,
the Delamarca.
You have a cousin, Mirandi, that lives on Chase Street." And we'll try to put you in that house. So we were, I wouldn't use the word bouncing around. We were very happy moving from one home to another, because it was all just a family. So meanwhile, then we went to Goat Hill, and there was another cousin that, believe it or not, we stayed with her for a while.
Who was that?
In Goat Hill.
Who was your cousin?
She was a Mirandi.
Okay.
Because as you can remember, and thank God, people think that they have to have a free. Oh no, I can't go into all the things that people want today. Ice boxes. We had a nice box.
Sure.
We had a nice box, and I can remember when Charlie the Iceman used to come. And I see this guy, and I think of it today. How did he ever carry these big hunks of ice on his shoulders, walk up 2 or 3 flights of stairs, and put it? And my mother or my father, whoever was in the house, would give him something, you know?
Yeah.
They wouldn't give him any money, but they give him a little pasta fazool, or give him some leftover meatballs. And this kind of warmth in a family is being neglected today, because my grandchildren today, and even the kids today in 2016, is in the digital world. There's no warmth and love anymore. And this is one of the reasons why, and BevCam has helped me a lot, because I want the kids to be able to say, we got to be creative. So to be creative, you have to use your eyes, which you're given,
and your hands,
and your heart that's so warm,
yeah,
and your hands that God gave you. And doing that, you can keep that creation in your body. Look at some of the things that have been discovered in this world. It's all from somebody's mind. So I said to myself, I'm going to try to make children use their hands again.
Now, did your father work in a cobbler shop?
No, my father owned his little cobbler shop.
Yeah, and where was that?
It was on Elliott Street. And on Elliott Street, when all the people used to come from the United Shoe, they would go to Terrio's Liquor. There was a bar there, I think it was named Terrio. But you couldn't walk to any building today and see people so happy and so joyful. You could be sitting at a bar today, no matter. He wouldn't even take time to say hi. How's the day?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we have lost that warm family love for not just your family, for just human beings.
You're talking about neighborhood.
Yeah. And so I say to myself,
did your father learn to speak English okay?
Oh, that was one thing that my mother and I were very sorry about. When my mother came here to work in one of the factories in Beverly, she had to teach, she had to know English. And she couldn't talk Italian till she got home. And so she was afraid to talk Italian and to us, because if someone ever told her, you know, we want you to talk English.
Well, that was common.
That was a common rule.
What about Dad?
The same way. And
Did Dad speak any English when he came?
No, they spoke English just enough to get by.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they didn't bring, because they mainly just wanted, when they went home, if they talked Italian all day long, you know. And then when they had the Thanksgiving dinners and the Christmas dinners.
Do you greet people in Italian today, Dina?
No, I wish I did, because, and that's why I'm so sorry, because I've traveled a lot now because I'm retired. And believe it or not, I wish I had someone that knew a language when I went to France and Italy, because Alice was French. And when I took her to Paris, I mean, I shouldn't say I took her to Paris. She says, I'm going to take you to Paris. Boy, when she got off the plane and started to talk French, it was a new world of her song. Other than that, they would neglect you, you know?
Now, you're talking about Rantoul Street and some of your neighbors, and we have this wonderful photograph. And you're going to identify the people in the photograph and tell us about them? This is also in my book, by the way.
Yeah, we have Mario Fortunato.
Tell me about Mario.
Oh, Mario worked with, after he went to school in college, he ended up with John Hancock Insurance.
Now, was he about your age?
Yeah, they were basically 2 or 3 years older. Yeah. And he had a very, very good lifestyle, and he was very successful in his business. Yeah. And sad to say, he's looking down on us now.
Yeah, died a few years ago.
He died a few years ago, and God bless him. And then right next to him, there I am. Believe it or not, we didn't have...
How old are you there?
Oh, I must have been probably, 6 years old, 8 years old. Sneakers.
Sneakers just came in, probably.
I remember when my mother went to City Hall, she says, well, we'll send you to the shoe store to get a pair of shoes. So I'm in the shoe store and looking around, I see these beautiful pair of shoes. I look them on, start putting them on. The owner says, Miss Lombardi, what are you doing? I said, well, my mother's going to get a pair of a pair of shoes from the city because we're on welfare. Oh, no, Miss Lombardi, put them back in the box. I'll show you what we have to get for you. So he comes out with a pair of sneakers. So I have to laugh now when I go to the mall and find out sneakers are $100, $200.
I know.
Basketball sneakers worth $1,000.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, gee, my mother, I guess we were in style then with sneakers.
Yeah.
But the clothing, look how you are now. Look at those many, many years ago, 70 years ago. We all are born, and the wisdom I say to the young people today, when you're 8 years old, you're beautiful. When you're 12 years old, 15 years old, you're beautiful. When you're 16 years old, you get beautiful. When you're 70, 80, every wrinkle in your body is a happy memory of your lifestyle. Don't feel bad about what you look like. It's what your heart feels.
So let's go to the other people in the picture here.
Oh,
before I put it down.
And they're all happy.
Well, let's give us some more
we
names.
Got Leonard. We got Lenny, my brother.
Okay.
And the next one was Armand Fortunato. They end up being a principal
superintendent
at one of the school and a superintendent. And then we have Annette, my cousin. I met her the other day. In fact,
quite a lady.
A beautiful lady. And Stephen is just happened to be a cousin.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a cousin.
Tell me about Stephen.
Stephen, he was a... Well,
he's about group, 2 or 3, I guess, in this picture.
2 or 3. But, in any group like that today, you could see on the street or you can see in the park, you always have these 2 or 3 kids, they learn so fast, Now,
the picture's taken where?
Right on Rantoul Street.
Whereabouts, though?
Well, 332. I don't know if you remember or not, but it was like halfway down. It was almost next to the Washington School.
Okay.
Because And this picture here on the left is mostly all dead land, like dry land. There was nothing there. They weren't like they're doing now today. Beverly Rantoul Street is becoming a big canyon of apartment houses. You know what I mean? They won't even be able to get any sun on that street anymore. But in this picture here, you'll see everything's wide open.
Yeah.
You know?
You like growing up in Rantoul Street?
Oh, Rantoul Street was the best. It was because Ricky's Market was there.
Yep.
They made homemade ice cream there. You didn't have to go in. You didn't have to go down Cabot Street. You didn't have to go to Elliott Street.
Yeah.
You had so much. The playground. The playground was a street.
Well, you had Ward 3.
Yeah, you had
playground.
Ward 3, and who had a car and. What you don't have in life, you'll never miss. Believe me. So
now,
don't think
I did
that,
a walk of Goat Hill for homecoming a few weeks ago, and one of the things, and you and I talked about this, was if you were in Goat Hill,
yeah,
you had Pleasant View Playground,
right,
you had Hayfie's Market, and you had a place to swim and fish. I mean, it was, as you said a few minutes ago, it was your own.
It was your own little community.
Didn't have to go anywhere.
It was like,
You could walk up to the shoe factories for work,
yeah,
or a longer walk to the United Shoe, right?
and every place you go in Beverly, you could just jump in the water. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, when you jumped in the water, you didn't have a bathing suit, so don't worry about it.
Well, people in Goat Hill and also on the upper levels of Rantoul Street looking towards Ralph's side,
Yeah.
Nino, talk about the beautiful sunsets.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well,
That came out in the walk, people talking about.
It's amazing how when the wealthy lived in Boston, they had to come to the seacoast.
Yep.
And the only reason why they came to Beverly, because one of the reasons was Boston's only about 25 miles away from Beverly.
That's right.
Boston's not like 100 miles away. So with the wealth they had, they said, geez, we have the North Shore, nothing but water on both sides of the city. So they settled in the area called Beverly Farms.
Yep.
That area today it was at one time too, in the Depression time, was the wealthiest area in the North Shore. Now, when I say wealth, summertime, take a boat.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never see the mansions from Beverly all the way up to Maine.
Yep.
That are built.
Yep.
But if you took a Sunday drive like my father would do, Sunday drive would be to go down to 127,
Yep.
and you would see these beautiful lawns and Christie Roads and Mendicott College. You would never see the estates. So you would never think, oh, that's just land behind that. So the wealth stayed there. Because of the wealth staying there,
Nino, they were only there 3 months.
I know that.
They didn't hate
They were
it.
just a summer home.
Yeah, that's right.
And when my son was flying a plane one time, I'll never forget this. He wanted to be a pilot. So Alice and I said, all right, we'll give you the experience to do that. So when he used to go up the side, and I don't realize that, but you got to go on the plane to find out now, you could see railroad tracks going to the water. People don't realize that. All these beaches, like the beach down the Cove, the beach Lynch Park at the time, which was an estate, and going down through past.
We're talking streetcars.
Streetcars.
Yeah.
No, but some people that lived in Boston had their own train going down to the streetcar. So the main road, the Boston and Maine Road, came down 127 all the way up to Maine. So if you had enough money, you would branch off to, instead of going and bringing your car in the driveway, you would bring a train.
Train car.
Yeah, a train car with what they call the garage.
Did any of your friends work in the estates in the summertime?
That's what was amazing about it. That's why they were so happy to get a lot of Italians, because they came because they were gardeners. They took care of land. And meantime, a lot of people that did have these estates were in business by raising, what's that beautiful flower? Orchids. Orchids. Every of these, I'm talking about a, I'm talking about a building that's probably 100 by 100, all orchids, and then they would sell them.
What he's talking about, folks, is Orchidville,
Yeah.
which was across from Chapman's greenhouse,
Yeah.
and back on part of what is Waring's, Glen Arcott School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these people stayed there, like you say, it was just their summer home.
Yeah.
In fact, I had an experience, you were not going to believe this. Where I live, I've worked hard all my life, and I am happy and glad that I was be able to have a piece of property that I wanted.
And where do you live?
I live in Long Bank Road in Beverly.
Oh, that's a nice spot.
All right.
Yeah.
No,
My gosh, Nino, I didn't know that.
Yes, so I live there, but I worked hard for it.
Good for you.
And I say to myself, you know, Alice, we will never have any money to give the children because Italian people like to say, I want to give my child $10,000 for a wedding or $20,000. Money was a big thing to get them started. Some people don't feel that way, but I did. So I said, Alice, we would never have any money to give the kids when they get married. So the house on Matthew Street, I'm going to sell.
Okay, up by the shoe.
So I said, she said, what do you want to sell it for? I said, listen, I fixed it all up. Believe it or not, I bought that for $15,000, and I got a GI loan. And when I say $15,000, you can't even buy a television. But anyways, I fixed it all up, hoping that I would stay there the rest of my life. When as the kids got older, they got educated and they got accepted at BC. So a lot of that money had to go for college. But it became to a time that Alice was all by herself, and she was going through a problem that women have. And the doctor says, you have to, if I was you, Mr. Lombardi, I would leave the house and find something interesting to do for you and your wife. So when I was doing a job down at Long Bank Road, Mr. Rubenstein owned the whole street, and he belonged to the temple. So
Max
Rubenstein owned it, and whoever lived in these 6 houses, believe it or not, were members of the temple. But the house that I saw was falling apart, and the woman that lived there was she was not a very nice person. And she would never sell the house to anybody on the street because she just couldn't get along with them. So, but she liked me. She says, why don't you make an offer
Good for you.
buy the house?
Now, you were a mason, so you were working on
So I
it?
was a mason, so I bought the house, and I said, now, Alice, we'll stay here, and if something happens to me or you, at least the children would have the house. Now, I'm just waiting for the time that Alice will ring the little bell.
Well, Alice died 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
She was
Alice-
a school teacher for 30 years at the Cove.
Yeah. So,
And she's here with me now.
so you had a beautiful spot to live in. You're the two of you.
Well, yeah. So well, this is what I want to explain to the people. I didn't live in that spot. I could have never afforded that spot.
Sure, sure.
But Alice was such a lovely person. She says, I'll help you pay for the mortgage. Because you know, our plan is for them to inherit that money from the house. So when she passed, she's not gone. I just say to myself, she's just sleeping. And I have
You're
friends.
taking care of the house.
I have warm friends. I've always had friends in Beverly.
Yeah.
And BevCam is my second family.
They're good people. Yeah.
Walter's a pain in the neck sometimes. But he's all right. But
Well,
I know that,
I want to thank you for doing this with us today. You're a good man.
Thank
And
you very much.
And Beverly is lucky to have you.
Well, I'm just telling you, Beverly is,
special place.
It's a lovely place.
Yeah.
And if people only could listen to more people like me that have stories in Beverly, they could write a book.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We've enjoyed talking to Donald Nino Lombardi, who is a noted artist in the area and paints landscapes of Lynch Park and other places.
Oh,
And we talked about his early life in this program. And we'd like to thank him again and thank you for watching, and look forward to another Reflections program ahead. Thank you.